After just 2 wins in the last 12 league games, Rovers are hoping to revive their season during a busy Easter weekend, which sees them play twice in the space of a few days. The first test sees Andy Butler go up against his former manager and physio in Nigel Adkins in the opposition dugout, as Rovers take on Charlton Athletic from 12:30. Good afternoon and welcome back to the Keepmoat Stadium, and thank you for joining us for our pre-match build-up to the game against Charlton Athletic in Sky Bet League One. Joining me on the show, editor of the Doncaster Free Press, Liam Hoden, and host of the 18 Dapper YouTube channel, Dan Pearson. Liam, the Easter weekend, always a big period in the footballing calendar, and none more so for Rovers at this stage.
Yeah, they definitely need to get going again. I think this is a big one. 2 games in very quick succession, although we have experienced that an awful lot this season. This is a real opportunity. Again, today against one of the sides that's around them in the table, and then on Monday at Bristol Rovers, a side that's really struggling at the minute. So a great opportunity for Rovers to get back on track, but they could do a really, really good performance today to give them that confidence to do so.
When you look at the run of games after this one on paper against teams who are at the wrong end of the table, and it would provide a bit of a springboard, wouldn't it? A much needed one for Rovers. Definitely.
I think earlier in the season you looked at every game and thought it's going to be a test, there's no hopers, but when you get to this point, teams have realised either the season's kind of petering out or they are feeling the pressure of it. There is a real opportunity to kind of turn the screw on them, and hopefully Rovers can do that.
Dan, it's been a bit of a frustrating couple of weeks, hasn't it, since the last win here against Plymouth. Injuries have bitten, Andy Butler's had to do it the hard way. What have you made to it recently?
Yeah, it's been a tough run of games, tough run of results, and I think we said it a few months back that February and March were going to be a pivotal point for our season, and it's proved that the landscape's changed completely, where we looked in the driving seat, and then, as you say, injuries and just things haven't gone our way, and results have gone against us, and now it's still in our hands to get into playoffs. We've still got a couple of games in hand, but like Liam says, this is the point today where we need to get a good result, good performance, and then push on against teams who are struggling at the wrong end of the table.
Do you think one of the most frustrating things is that apart from that Oxford game, they've all been really tight games, haven't they? Rovers have only lost against Crewe and MK Dons by the odd goal, and then you're looking at it and thinking if things had the ball bounces another way, and if buts and maybes, they might have had a couple more wins under their belt.
Yeah, and I think we were getting that rub of the green near the start of the season. We said it where we'd been winning ugly, and to gain promotion you need to win ugly, and for whatever reason it's just not bounced our way over the last month or two.
It was a frustrating afternoon at Stadium MK last weekend, wasn't it? And here are the best bits from that defeat at MK Dons. Liam, a frustrating one last week, and then a game where Rovers lacked that bit of cutting edge in the game. You always sensed that one goal would be enough to win it, and in the end it came at the wrong end from Rovers and Andy Butler's point of view.
Yeah, I think that was the frustrating thing, that really, despite the fact that MK Dons were in control in the first half, in the second half in particular, there was very little in the game. It only needed Rovers to kind of come to life a little bit, and they had a real opportunity to get at least a point from that game. So a frustrating one, but hopefully this week a lot of those issues have been addressed. It's difficult getting into that fight, having that confidence in the final third, particularly with how things have been going at the minute. But hopefully, with another good few days on the training ground under the belt, they've kind of addressed those issues.
It seemed to be frustrating the lads at the top end of the pitch. We saw Omar Bogle starting to drift and look for the ball as opposed to waiting for it to come to him, and then that's when the problems arise when balls do go into the box because there's nobody in there to finish them off.
Yeah, I think that's what people are desperate to make something happen themselves, and they do go wandering. We've seen it many times over the years that when things aren't going well for teams, that the individual players will drop out of position to try and make things happen. Need players to stay kind of disciplined and focus on what they should be doing and let others take care of their responsibilities outside of the box. Now,
Rovers fans have been voting for their March goal of the month this week, and the winner is Faye Okunabiri's strike against Portsmouth in Andy Butler's first game in charge. And lads, it was a brilliant strike, wasn't it, from a tight angle? I think everybody, including the Portsmouth keeper, are wondering how it's gone in, but that's what we need to see more of from Faye in the back end of the season.
Definitely. I think that was the thing. I mentioned confidence. The confidence in that game was so high. It looked like the Rovers of old. It looked like they'd been rejuvenated towards what they were like at the start of the season. And that's what you want to see. Players taking risks like that. I think against MK Dons, there weren't quite enough of that. Players just having a bit of faith in themselves that they can make something happen, and Faye certainly did on that occasion.
He's got 12 goals this season, Dan, and a lot of them have come when he's been in that wide left position, haven't they? I think he was a substitute in that game, came on for John Taylor early on, but his pace and the directness of Bogle seems to work really well when they're on the pitch together.
Yeah, I like that pairing. Bogle's got the physicality to hold the ball up and bring players in. I think we have missed Taylor and Sims being able to kind of get that quick counter-attack going and feeding off of Bogle. I think we just need to get Faye or Jason Lakilo in there supporting him, and we should create chances. We've got teams full of ability.
A lot's been made about Bogle and Okunabiri and getting them up top together, but as I mentioned there, Liam, and I think it's probably Faye himself would admit that his best performances have come from the wing. The way that he can sort of arch his runs and get in behind, I think Swindon away is the prime example of that, isn't it, of what he offers when he is out wide.
Definitely, and watching when he is on the pitch from a wide area, so much of the time when Rovers are in attack mode, he's in the centre anyway, and players are drifting around all over the place. We know the full-backs end up in the centre often on Rovers attacks, so I'm not sure that starting them up front together would make a massive amount of difference because of the fluidity that's in the side anyway.
Of course, the Easter weekend, as we said earlier on, always a key time in the season, but Andy Butler sees it slightly differently this time around with so many games still to play.
Easter weekend, we always put an extra sort of stamp of importance on it because of the quick turnaround in games. Teams that can be in very different positions come kind of 5 o'clock on Monday, can't they? It's a great time to play catch up.
Yeah, you've seen teams around us pick up points and move around the table. We've still got a few games to hand on other teams around us, so we'll use these games to put us in a good position for when we get those games to catch up again. The games are coming thick and fast, even though it's Easter weekend. You look at the weeks after that, it's Saturday, Tuesday. So Easter weekend doesn't mean as much at the moment for me. We take one game at a time and just prepare and make sure we're ready for both games. Obviously Charlton first, which will be tough, then travel down to Bristol. Again, another tough game against a team fighting down the bottom. So we approach both teams with the same respect and the same mindset and game plan.
I wonder if, it's lunchtime kick-off, it's on the box, it's a chance for the players, if they do have any kind of issues or worries, to kind of stick the chest out and show what they can do.
Yeah, I think that's the message from me. Go and show people who support Doncaster Rovers, friends, family members, that you want to represent Doncaster Rovers as a club, as a team. What a better chance to play in front of on Sky when the fans obviously have missed out this season. Go and show and express yourself, what you can do to the thousands that watch the TV. And again, it goes down to the players stepping across that white line and really showing what they can do, and having that freedom and that expression and that sheer confidence and belief in the players and the team around them.
Dan, Andy Butler keen to point out that even after the Easter period, there is still plenty to play for in Sky Bet League One this season. And it is true, isn't it? There's still 11 games to go. Normally by this stage, once you get past this weekend, you've probably only got a handful of games to play.
Yeah, normally, like you say, you're looking at this kind of period of the season and your table's pretty much set. But with the amount of games that we've got coming up and whatever team's got coming up, I think there's going to be change at the top and the bottom of the table up until maybe second to last game of the season. So yeah, loads to play for.
And of course, we've mentioned before, every team's fighting for something, as you say. And even when you're coming up against a team, I think Burton Albion were bottom not long ago, and now they're sort of middle of the bottom half, aren't they? So they're not doing too bad at all. And I think Rochdale got a point against Peterborough the other week. It's so hard to predict. If you're a betting man, you wouldn't really know who to put your money on week in, week out.
Yeah, leave League One out of any accumulator, I'd say. It's one of those kind of seasons where the top can get beat by the bottom of the table, and it's entertaining for fans at least. But yeah, when you're in there and needing the points, you'd like a banker, but there just isn't one in League One.
Andy Butler's made no secret of the fact how much he admires his opposite number this afternoon, Nigel Adkins, and he's been a bit of a mentor to him, hasn't he? Not so much since he's been appointed as Charlton boss, but in the weeks prior to that.
Yeah, I was listening to some comments from Nigel this morning, and he was discussing what they'd kind of talked about, and him encouraging Andy to be himself and look after himself as well, and focus on having the right mindset, which we know Nigel Adkins is a big proponent of. So it's a valuable one. He's a different voice, Nigel Adkins, from what a lot of managers. So it's a decent one to have in the contacts book for Andy.
To say he started off as a physio, Adkins as well, he hasn't done a bad job in management, has he?
Not done a bad job at all. That success at Scunthorpe initially, and then moving on to Southampton and getting them promoted to the Premier League. I think he's underrated for the job he did at Southampton and putting them on the track to where they are now as an established Premier League side. A very, very good manager. He's had a couple of spells where it's not quite worked out for him, but he has got that ability.
And although they're in opposite dugouts, Dan, how much will it help Andy Butler, do you feel, being able to lean on that type of person?
Yeah, I think to have those contacts to be able to talk to for support and guidance is very important in football, not just as a player but as a manager. So I think after the game they'll be having a chat and potentially they'll get a few words of wisdom to see him through till the end of the season.
John Bostock, of course, made his return to the team last weekend, and he says Rovers have still got a brilliant opportunity to achieve something special this season.
We worked on some things that we could try and bring moving forward until the end of the season. So, but like I said, also I haven't said this, but it's true that we haven't had consistent starting 11 or players who have that cohesion. So, also you've got a new manager. Like it takes. It's not normal circumstances, you know. So I feel like we have to take that into account. However, we've got more than enough quality to get results. So we're going to demand more from ourselves, and we'll do our best to try and put it right and finish very strong. We've got a huge opportunity together as a squad, as a club under Andy Butler now. So I'm really glad that he's shown faith in me, sticking with me in midfield as well. You can see his passion in the training field, and as he's trying to communicate and stuff, get it across to the guys. He's got his own ideas as well, which is great. So hopefully we can continue to gel under him. So yeah, my passion will never change, especially under a manager like Andy Butler as well. Got a lot of respect for him. I've been filming a lot of content. It's a shame I'm so far behind, but I'm going to try and speed up a little bit. But yeah, the Donny fans are in for a treat for sure. I've been filming a lot of content, and so game days, training days, little stuff with the players as well. And I think the fans will see the culture and the character we got in the team is really good, really good.
Liam, John Bostock returning into the team last weekend, especially in the absence of Matt Smith. That experience in there was really important.
Very important. We know what quality he brings in the middle of the park anyway, his ability on the ball, but I think that experience heading as well. We were speaking to him earlier in the week about that and how he's been eager to speak up and take a leadership role on. He said he spoke to the players after the game at Milton Keynes, but he also mentioned about having that experienced voice in the middle of the park, and that's a massive thing for Rovers to have at the minute.
The injury he suffered, Dan, came at a really frustrating time, didn't it? Just when Rovers seemed to get a real backlog of injuries. The strikers were out. He picked up a niggle in the Crew game just as he was starting to find his groove in a Rovers shirt.
Yeah, he's been without a club for 4 months. He's come back in. It's going to take a little bit of time to get up to that match sharpness. And I think we were seeing that. And then to pull his groin, I think it was. Yeah, pull his groin. He was out for a couple of weeks. Bad timing. We had 7 or 8 injuries at the time as well. But it's nice to see him back out on the pitch. And like Liam says, bags of ability and that experience in the middle of the park should push us through.
Particularly with Smith back from international duty as well for this afternoon's game. That pairing in the midfield just solidifies things a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think Smith in there will give Bostock a bit more freedom to play. I think on Saturday he was kind of holding a lot more and not being quite as expressive as what we've seen him. But with Smith there as well, I think one of the two will try and force something to happen and make us move forward. So yeah, Smith being there will give Bostock a bit more freedom, I think.
Of course, he's been busy off the field as well as Bozzy, hasn't he, with his new YouTube channel that's just getting interesting from a Rovers point of view, isn't it? The last episode as he was driving into Cantley Park, and I know you had a chat with him about it during the press conference on Thursday.
Yeah, it's quite exciting at the end of that latest episode where he's pulling up to Cantley Park. But you know, it's been really interesting to have that insight into how a player being out of a club, not having a club, and the work that he's had to do on his own, the motivation in driving snow we saw in the latest episode. He's out there on his own in a field, working on his fitness, working on his ball work as well, and it's been really interesting to see, and he seems to relish the fact that he's showing that side of things, and kind of what hope that offers to people in the same position, fellow professionals as well. So it's not just an insight for supporters, it's kind of a motivational tool for his fellow professionals.
Dan, we mentioned your account at the start, but you must be keeping a real close eye on what John Bostock's doing and how he's going about things himself.
Yeah, I'm loving the series. Like Liam says, it gives a good insight for fans, but it's also a very good tool to keep fellow professionals motivated who are currently out of the club. I'd love to collab with him. I need to get in touch with him. But yeah, fantastic series.
Time for the latest episode of DDTV now, and this time it was Rhys James's turn to be quizzed by the 71st Doncaster Hanartha Scout Group.
How did you train during lockdown?
I went to a local field not too far from my house. Did a lot of running that we got set a programme for. Funnily enough, I actually took my dog to try and push me a little bit. He's quite a big dog, you see, so it was very different times and interesting, but it was enjoyable, very enjoyable.
Who's your favourite footballer?
I loved Paul Scholes growing up as a kid. I used to really like him and the way he played, and then positionally for the way I play, I used to love watching Ashley Cole. He was a favourite player of mine.
What advice would you give to someone that wants to be a professional footballer?
I'd always say hard work and dedication, and also never to give up. From an example from myself, when I was 18, I was released by Preston, told that I wasn't good enough, and I never gave up, and I ended up getting a trial at Manchester United to go in for a week. And I ended up getting offered a contract, funnily enough, at Man United.
George Bartram is our VIP for this afternoon's game. We hope you have a brilliant day, George, and lads, on to the action. It's going to be a really tough game, as we said, Liam, against a fellow top six rival. What could 3 points today do for Rovers running at the end of the season?
I think it's massive. I think they're so desperate. You saw last week at that kind of lack of confidence creeping in a little bit, and just to give them that belief again, however it comes, we could do with a really good performance, just to and that being rewarded, just to raise that confidence levels and bring that belief back. But I think a win would be huge at a pivotal time as well. You don't want this run to keep on going.
Particularly with a couple of players coming back as well, and Rovers getting to a bit more of a fixed 11, you feel. Of course, Sims and Taylor still out, but with the players he has available, Andy Butler will hope to have a more consistent 11, I assume, over the next few weeks.
You'd like to think so. I think Matt Smith coming back is massive. I think he was missed last week with his tenacity in the middle of the park, and as we said before, freeing other players up to express themselves like John Bostock. But yeah, you're hopeful that despite that two big players missing in Taylor and Sims, it must be said, but the team is strong, the bench is strong at this point, and hopefully Rovers can kick on from here.
Dan, a bit of frustration amongst the supporters in recent weeks is bound to happen when results don't come your way, but I think we've said before on the show that there are sort of mitigating circumstances, aren't there, when you look at the injuries suffered and things like that?
Yeah, there is, and for me, from a fan's point of view, as long as the performance is there, it does hurt when we lose, but I'd sooner see a performance and players putting effort in. And I think the frustration's been there that potentially a couple of players have kind of been going through the motions or seemingly going through the motions. And like Liam said, the important things are 3 points today. A performance would be a bonus.
How do you see it going?
I've gone with 3-2 win.
Sky would love that, wouldn't
Confidence, yeah. A lot of goals in front of the cameras.
Liam?
I fancy goals as well, but I'm going to go for 2-2.
Liam, Dan? thanks for your company. Thank you at home for watching as well. Join me now for commentary as Rovers take on Charlton Athletic from 12:30.